I'm 106 years old, and I still have a pair of shoes in my closet from 1983. I haven't been able to wear them in over 30 years, but I kept them. Let me tell you why that was a mistake. They're beautiful shoes. Oxblood leather, hand-welted, double-stitched soles. I spent 40 hours making them myself. Imported leather from a tannery in Tuscany that doesn't even exist anymore. They were the kind of shoes a man wears when he wants to feel like a king. Now my feet are so swollen they look like risen dough. I haven't fit into those shoes since the Clinton administration. And here's the funny part. I was born in 1918, the year the Great War ended and the Spanish flu began. I've watched the world go from horse-drawn carriages to rockets landing on Mars. And after more than a century on this earth, I still had to learn the same lesson most people never learn. You don't own your things. Your things own you. So why do I keep them? Why do they sit there taking up space in my small room, gathering dust, mocking me with their perfection? Because we are all idiots about letting go. We are sentimental fools who attach our souls to objects, thinking that if we keep the object, we keep the time when we used it. We think that if I keep the shoes, I keep the stride of the man who wore them. But we don't. The time is gone. The stride is gone.
The shoes are just leather and thread, and I am just an old man staring at a closet full of ghosts. Look, I'm going to tell you about 10 things you need to get rid of before you retire, or before you die, whichever comes first. And I am not talking about your comic book collection or your grandmother's china with the little pink flowers on it. Keep that if it makes you happy. Keep the things that spark a light in your eyes.
I am talking about the heavy stuff, the invisible stuff, the stuff that is actually eating your life while you think you own it. The anchors, the burdens, the things we carry because we are too afraid to put them down. And here's the thing. I learned most of this too late. I learned it the hard way through stubbornness and stupidity and loss. I am telling you now, so maybe, just maybe, you don't have to be as thick-headed as I was. Sit down, grab a coffee.
Let's talk about the inventory of a life. Item 1, the museum of your past life, the big house. Let's start with the big one, the one that hurts the most. Sell the house that is too big for your life now. My best friend Carmine, God rest his soul, he died in 2019 at 92, was a beautiful man. Hands like mine, calloused and scarred from working construction his whole life. He built half of Queens, or so he claimed. He could look at a wall and tell you if it was plumb without a level. Carmine had this house in Staten Island, a palace to a guy like him who grew up sleeping 3 to a bed. 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, a finished basement with a bar made of polished oak, a backyard with a fig tree he planted in 1967 from a cutting his father brought from Italy, wrapped in a wet handkerchief. He raised 5 kids in that house. He buried his wife Maria from that house. By the time he was 85, Carmine was living in 3 rooms, the kitchen, the bedroom, and the bathroom. The rest of the house, it was a museum. It was full of ghosts. Dust bunnies the size of tumbleweeds rolling down hallways he never walked. Bedrooms filled with trophies from kids who hadn't lived there in 30 years. Plastic baseball players covered in gray fuzz.
A dining room table that hadn't seen a turkey since 2005, piled high with junk mail he was too tired to sort. His kids, good kids, smart kids, successful kids, kept saying, "Pop, sell the house. It's too much. The stairs are dangerous. The roof needs work. Come live near us in Jersey. Get a condo in Florida with a pool." And Carmine would slam his hand on the table, a hand that used to crush walnuts, and say, "This is my home. This is where your mother made Sunday gravy. This is where you took your first steps. I am not leaving. You want me to die in a stranger's box?" You know what happened? He fell down those basement stairs in 2018 trying to check the boiler because he heard a noise. Broke his hip, shattered it like dropped china. He lay there for 6 hours before his neighbor found him. He spent his last year in a nursing home, staring at a beige wall, while the house sat empty, eating money. Taxes, insurance, heating oil for rooms nobody was sleeping in. His kids sold it after the funeral. They got a good price, sure. But Carmine never enjoyed a dime of it. He traded his comfort and his safety for a memory. He couldn't even visit because his knees wouldn't let him climb the stairs. Here is what I want you to understand, deep in your bones, before your knees give out. A house is wood and brick and pipe, that is all. It is a container. The love that happened there, the Sunday gravies, the first steps, the arguments and the makeups, the Christmas mornings and the quiet Tuesday nights, that lives in you. You carry it. You are the vessel, not the house. The memories are not in the drywall, they are in your heart.
When my shop burned down in 1978, 58 years old I was. 30 years of work gone in one night due to faulty wiring next door. I stood in the ashes the next morning. The smell, I can still smell it. Wet charcoal and burnt leather. It is a smell that stays in your nose forever. I thought my life was over. Everything I had built. My father's tools, brought over from Italy in a trunk. Hammers with handles worn smooth by his hands and mine. My lasts. The wooden forms of hundreds of feet I knew intimately. My patterns. Gone. But you know what wasn't gone? What my father put in here, my head, and here, my hands. The way he showed me to read the grain of the leather so it wouldn't crack. The way he taught me to stitch a welt so it would hold water out for 20 years. The way he taught me to listen to a customer's walk to know where their pain was. The fire couldn't burn that. The fire couldn't touch the skill. So, if you are rattling around in a house that echoes when you cough, paying to heat rooms where only spiders live, maintaining a yard that breaks your back every autumn with leaves you can't rake, sell it. Take the money. Buy something small and manageable. Use the rest to travel or to eat good food or to help your grandkids. You are not betraying your memories by moving. You are honoring them by actually enjoying the time you have left, instead of being a janitor to your own history. Do not let your past hold your future hostage. Item 2. The Messiah Complex. Rescuing your adult children. This one is going to make some of you angry. Good. Be angry. Then think about it. Sell your need to keep rescuing your adult children. My son, Enzo Jr., he is 80 now. Still practicing law, if you can believe it. Still stubborn as a mule, just like his old man. But he is a good man, a strong man. He wasn't always. When Enzo was 32, he came to me. He looked terrible, pale, shaking. He had dark circles under his eyes that looked like bruises. He needed money, a lot of money. He had made some bad investments, some real estate deal in New Jersey that went sour, some partners who weren't honest. He owed people, dangerous people, or at least angry people. He was scared. I gave it to him, every penny he asked for. I dipped into my retirement. I sold some bonds. I didn't even make him explain the details. He is my son, my blood, my firstborn. What else was I going to do? You know what he did? The same damn thing 3 years later, and again 5 years after that. Because I had taught him a terrible lesson. I taught him that Papa would always fix it. I taught him that consequences were for other people. I robbed him of the struggle that makes a man a man. I stole his resilience by paying his debts. It wasn't until Gloria, my second wife, the love of my second life, a woman with a spine made of titanium and a heart made of gold, sat me down one night in 1994. She poured me a glass of wine and looked at me over her reading glasses. "Sal," she said, her voice quiet but firm, "you think you are loving him, but you are crippling him. You are cutting his legs off every time you open your wallet. You are keeping him a boy when he needs to be a man." I wanted to argue. I wanted to say, he's my boy. It's my job to protect him. But I knew she was right. I felt the truth of it in my gut, heavy and cold. She said, "Your son is a grown man with a law degree. He can figure this out." But he won't because you won't let him. You are addicted to being his savior. That hit me hard, the Messiah complex. I needed to be needed more than he needed to be helped. I told Enzo the next day, "I love you. I would die for you, but the Bank of Sal is closed. This is the last time. Next time, you figure it out yourself. Sink or swim, Enzo." He didn't speak to me for 6 months. He called me selfish. He called me cold. He said I didn't care about his family. It broke my heart every single day. I waited by the phone, hoping he would call just to say hello, but the phone stayed silent. But you know what? He also never asked for money again. He figured it out. He dug himself out of the hole. He learned to be careful. He learned to value what he earned. He learned that money costs sweat, not just a phone call to Dad. And 20 years later, at his own retirement party, he toasted me.
He stood up in front of everyone, raised a glass of champagne, and said, "My father gave me the greatest gift anyone ever gave me. He let me fail. He let me find my own strength. Here is your homework, and I want you to actually do this, not just nod and forget. Look at your bank account. Add up what you have given your adult children in the last 5 years, not birthday presents."
Not Christmas gifts. I mean bailouts, rent, cars, loans that never get repaid, cell phone bills, insurance. Now, ask yourself, did that money help them grow, or did it help them stay stuck? There are loans for houses. There are loans for cars. There are loans for school. There are no loans for retirement. Your kids have decades to build wealth. You don't. Stop giving away time you can't get back. You are not a bank. You are a parent.
And sometimes parenting means letting them fall so they can learn how to get up. Item 3, the anchor, expensive toys. I knew a guy, Frankie Duca. He had a boat. A beautiful boat, a 32-foot cabin cruiser with teak decks and brass fittings. He named it the Second Wife. He kept it at the marina in Sheepshead Bay. He loved that boat, talked about it constantly. "Sal, you got to come out on the boat. Sal, the boat is freedom. Sal, the boat is like therapy. The salt air, the wind, it cures everything." You know how many times Frankie actually took that boat out of the slip? Maybe 6 times a year, on a good year. The rest of the time, it sat in the marina eating money. Slip fees, winter storage, engine maintenance, hull cleaning, insurance, fuel. The thing drank gas like a thirsty elephant. Every time I saw him, he was complaining about the boat.
The carburetor is shot. The canvas is ripped. The marina raised the rent again. I gotta go down there this weekend and scrub the barnacles. One day I asked him, "Frankie, when is the last time you were actually on the water? Not fixing the boat, but driving it, enjoying it?" He had to think about it. He scratched his head. He looked at the ceiling. Maybe July, no, June.
4th of July weekend. It was October. That is when you know you have a problem. When you have to think about whether you are enjoying the thing you are bleeding money for. He sold it eventually. It took him 3 years of me nagging him. And you know what he told me after? He said, "Sal, I feel lighter. I didn't know that boat was so heavy. I didn't realize I was carrying it on my back."
That is the thing about possessions. They have mass. They have gravity. They don't just sit there. They pull at you. They need attention. They need worry. They occupy mental real estate. Everything you own takes a piece of your mind. And in retirement, your mind is the most valuable asset you have. You need that bandwidth for living, not for maintaining fiberglass and chrome. So whatever your boat is, the RV you used twice and now sits in the driveway turning green with algae, the woodworking equipment in the garage you haven't touched since you got arthritis, the timeshare in Florida you feel obligated to visit even though you hate the humidity, let it go. Sell it. Someone else will love it. Someone else will use it. You can love the money it brings you and the freedom of not having to worry about it. You can love the empty space in your brain where the worry used to be. You can love the empty space in your brain where the worry used to be. Item 4, the redundant chariot, the second car. This one is easy math. If you are retired, if you aren't commuting anymore, if you and your spouse are both home 90% of the time, how often are you actually going to 2 different places at the exact same time? My neighbors, the Palmers, nice couple, Bill and Janet. They had 2 cars, a Buick LeSabre and a Toyota Camry. Bill drove the Buick to the grocery store once a week. Janet drove the Toyota to church on Sundays. The rest of the week, those 2 cars sat in the driveway side by side like expensive lawn ornaments depreciating in the sun. The Toyota sat so long one winter that a family of mice built a nest in the air filter. I'm not joking. Mice. They had a whole condo complex in there. Bill went to start it, and it sounded like a blender full of marbles. They finally sold the Toyota last year. You know what they did with the money? They took a cruise to Alaska. They saw glaciers. They saw whales. They held hands on the deck, drinking hot cocoa while watching icebergs float by. Would you rather have a car sitting in your driveway collecting bird droppings and housing rodents, or a memory of seeing a whale breach in the icy waters of Alaska? That is not a trick question. Stop paying insurance on a convenience you don't need. Uber exists. Taxis exist. Walking exists. Sell the car. Buy the experience. Buy the freedom from maintenance. Item 5. The mask, your work identity. This is the one nobody talks about. This is the invisible item, and it is the hardest one to sell. Sell your work identity. When I retired from the shop in 2005, I was 86 years old. I worked until I literally couldn't hold the hammer anymore because of the tremors in my hands. I thought I would be okay. I had prepared financially. I had hobbies, gardening, reading. I had hobbies, gardening, reading. I had Gloria. But for the first 6 months, I was lost. Do you understand? Lost. For 70 years, I was Sal the shoemaker. Sal from Benedetto's Fine Shoes. That was my name. That was my rank. That was my serial number. That was how I introduced myself. That was how people introduced me. This is Sal. He makes the best shoes in the city.
Go see Sal. He can fix anything. People knew me by what I did. I knew myself by what I did. I knew my value by the shoes I produced. I measured my worth in leather soles and perfectly turned heels. And suddenly, I wasn't doing it anymore. I would wake up at 6 a.m., out of habit, and my hands would itch for the leather. I would reach for my apron and realize it wasn't there. And then I would remember, I don't have a shop anymore. I am just Sal.
I would sit at the kitchen table and think, what is the point of today? Who am I if I am not fixing something? Who am I if I am not useful? Gloria found me crying one morning. Not loud crying. I am not a loud crier. Just tears running down my face while I stared at my coffee cup. I felt invisible. I felt like a ghost in my own kitchen. She sat down across from me, put her hand over mine. Her hand was warm, grounding, and said, Sal, look at me.
Who are you without the shop? And I didn't know. That is the terrifying part. 86 years old, and I didn't know who I was without a hammer in my hand. I had to learn. I had to build a new Sal. Sal the husband, Sal the grandfather, Sal the guy who grows incredible tomatoes. The secret is eggshells, by the way. Sal the guy who tells stories, Sal the guy who listens. Here is what you need to learn before you hand in your keys and your ID badge.
Your job title was never who you were. It was just a coat you wore. It was a costume. It was a role you played. You are the person inside the coat. You are the soul inside the role. But if you don't figure that out before you stop working, retirement is going to feel like dying while you are still alive. You will become one of those guys who bores everyone at parties talking about the deals he did in 1995. Trying to prove he used to matter. Start now, before you retire. Find the parts of yourself that have nothing to do with your paycheck. Grow them, water them, give them sunlight. So when the work ends, you don't end with it. Item 6. The poison, your grudges. Now, here is where we get into the stuff you can't sell on eBay. The stuff that costs you more than money. Sell your grudges, give them away for free. Leave them on the curb, throw them in the river. I didn't speak to my brother-in-law Marco for almost 30 years. Marco, my sister's husband, a good man mostly. Loud but good. He made great wine. He loved my sister. You want to know why we stopped speaking? I don't remember. That is the punchline of the joke. I literally do not remember. It was something about money, maybe? A loan I didn't give him? Or maybe it was about something he said at a Christmas party in 1968. Something about my politics? Something about my shoes? I don't know. But I held on to it. I nursed it. I fed that grudge until it was a pet monster. I let it grow fat and ugly in the corner of my life. I refused to go to his house. I refused to let him come to mine. Marco died in 1998. Massive heart attack while watching a Giants game. I found out from my sister Rosa. She called me crying. She said, Sal, Marco died last week. The funeral was Tuesday.
I didn't call you because I knew you wouldn't come. I didn't want a scene. That hit me like a physical blow. 30 years of not speaking, and I missed the chance to say goodbye. I missed the chance to say, I'm sorry. I missed the chance to say, I forgive you, or please forgive me. You know what that grudge cost me? Not just Marco. It cost me time with Rosa, who felt caught in the middle for 3 decades. It cost me relationships with his kids, my niece and nephew, who I barely know because I was the angry uncle.
It cost me peace. It cost me 30 years of carrying this heavy, stupid, useless weight that I picked up over something I can't even remember. So, here's what you are going to do today. Not tomorrow. Today, you are going to think of one person you are not speaking to, one grudge you are carrying, One family member you have cut off. One friend you fell out with over nonsense. And you are going to ask yourself, is this worth dying over? Because that is what it costs.
You are spending your dying on this. You are spending your finite, precious time on hate. Pick up the phone, write the letter, send the email, swallow your pride. Pride is the most expensive thing you own, and it pays you absolutely nothing in dividends. It only pays in regret. It tastes like ash in your mouth. Item 7, the audience. Sell your fear of what people think. When I married Gloria in 1991, I was 72. She was 62.
And Gloria, well, Gloria was black. And I am an old Italian guy from a neighborhood where people had ideas about how things should be, where people stuck to their own kind. People talked. Oh, did they talk? They talked in the grocery store. They whispered at church. They gave us looks when we walked into the diner, looks that said, "What is that about?" My own son, Enzo, didn't speak to me for 2 years. He said I was disrespecting the family. He said I was making a spectacle of myself.
He said I was dishonoring his mother's memory, which was nonsense because his mother, my first wife, Maria, had the biggest heart in the world and would have loved Gloria. And you know what I did? I put on my best suit, I took Gloria's hand, and I walked down 86th Street like we owned the pavement. Because I was 72 years old. I had already buried one wife I loved. I had survived a war. I fought in the Pacific. I saw things no man should see. I'd survived a fire. I'd survived cancer.
I was not going to waste one single second of my remaining time worrying about what people who didn't love me thought about who I loved. Gloria used to say, "Sal, the people who matter don't mind, and the people who mind don't matter." She was quoting Dr. Seuss, I think, but she said it like it was scripture, and she was right.
Here is the truth about the audience. It doesn't exist. Most people aren't thinking about you. They aren't obsessing over your choices. They are too busy worrying about what you think about them. Everyone is the star of their own movie, and you are just an extra in theirs. So stop performing. Wear the weird shirt. Take the salsa class, even if you have 2 left feet. Date the person who makes your heart sing, even if they don't match you on paper. Sing loud in the car. The opinions of strangers are worthless currency. You can't spend them. You can't eat them. And they won't keep you warm at night. Gloria kept me warm. Their opinions kept me cold. Item 8. The CEO complex. Need to control. Sell your need to control everything. My daughter Lucia, she is 78 now, still sharp as a tack. Still calls me every Sunday at 10 a.m. sharp to tell me about her week. When she was raising her kids in the 70s, I used to drive her crazy. I admit it. I was a nightmare. I was a backseat parent. I had opinions about everything. How she was feeding them, too much sugar, not enough vegetables. Where she was sending them to school, not strict enough. What she was letting them watch on television, too much violence. How she disciplined them, too soft. I would come over and start fixing things I thought were wrong. I would lecture her husband about his lawn. I would reorganize her kitchen. One day, Lucia stood in her kitchen holding a spatula like a weapon, her face red with frustration, and she said, "Papa, I love you, but you need to stop. These are my children. This is my house. Let me make my own mistakes. You had your turn." And it hurt. It stung. Because I thought I was helping. I thought I was showing love. But I wasn't. I was showing control. I was showing lack of trust. I wanted to protect her from every mistake, every pain, every wrong turn.
I wanted to live her life for her because I thought I could do it better. But that is not love. That is suffocation. I had to learn, and I am still learning, even at 106, that you can offer advice, but you can't force anyone to take it. You can share your wisdom, but you can't make anyone wise. The tighter you grip the sand, the faster it slips through your fingers. Let go. Trust the people you raised. Trust the people you love. Let them fall sometimes. They will get up. That is what humans do.
And when they get up, they will be stronger because they did it themselves. Let them be the authors of their own stories, even if the plot twists scare you. Item 9. The impossible standard, perfectionism. Sell your perfectionism. I made shoes for 60 years. I was a craftsman. I took pride in my work. Benedetto's shoes meant something. But you know what? Some of those shoes had small mistakes. A stitch that was a millimeter off. A dye lot that wasn't perfectly matched.
A heel that was a fraction of a degree crooked. And for years, those mistakes would keep me up at night. I would lie in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about a pair of loafers I sold in 1962 to a banker on Wall Street, cringing at a tiny imperfection that the customer probably never even noticed. What a waste. What an absolute, colossal waste of mental energy. Here is what I know now. Done is better than perfect.
A life lived with mistakes is infinitely better than a life not lived because you were too scared to mess up. My father used to say, "Sal, the shoe doesn't have to be perfect. It has to fit. It has to hold together. It has to let them walk where they need to go. Let them walk where they need to go. That is the point. Function, movement, progress, not perfection. Stop obsessing over every detail. Stop waiting until the book is perfect to publish it. Stop waiting until the painting is perfect to show it. Stop waiting until you are perfect to love yourself. Your perfectionism is just fear wearing a tuxedo. It looks fancy, but it's paralyzing you. It's an excuse to stand still. Take off the tuxedo. Put on your work boots. Get moving. Messy is fine. Messy is real. The most beautiful things in life are a little crooked. Item 10, the thief. And this is the last one, the most dangerous one, the one that will rob you blind if you let it. Sell your someday. I had a list when I was 50, when I was 60, when I was 70. I had a list of things I was going to do someday. Someday I will go back to Napoli and find the street where my father was born. I will eat pizza in the square. Someday I will learn to play the piano. I will play Chopin. Someday I will write down all my recipes for the grandkids. Someday I will tell my son how proud I am of him. You know what someday is? Someday is a thief. It steals your life while promising to give it back later. It is a lie we tell ourselves to feel better about our cowardice. I never went back to Napoli. I am too old to travel now. The thought of a plane ride makes my bones ache. I can't play the piano. My fingers are too stiff. Arthritis has claimed them.
My recipes are still mostly in my head, and my memory is fading. Some of them are gone forever. And my son, Enzo, I finally told him I was proud of him. I sat him down and told him he was a good man, a good father, a better man than me. But I was 93 years old when I did it. 93. He was 67. He cried. A 67-year-old man, a lawyer, a grandfather himself, crying at my kitchen table because his father finally said the words he had been waiting his whole damn life to hear.
Why did I wait so long? Why did I think I needed to wait for the perfect moment? Why did I hoard my love like it was gold that would run out? There is no perfect moment. There is only now. Here is what I want you to do right now. Put down your phone. Get a piece of paper. Write down 3 things you are saving for someday. A trip, a conversation, a project, a reconciliation, a hobby. Now cross out someday and write this month. I am serious. This month. Not this year. This month. Because here is the secret nobody tells you until you are 106. Someday isn't on the calendar. It doesn't exist. It is a fantasy. The only days that exist are the ones you are in right now. This day, this hour, this breath, the final inventory.
I have buried 2 wives I loved more than life itself. Maria, who gave me my children, and Gloria, who gave me my life back. I have buried my sister. I have buried my father. I have buried almost every friend I ever made. The guys I played cards with, the guys I drank wine with, the guys I argued with, they are all gone. I am the last one left at the party. And the only thing I regret more than the mistakes I made is the things I didn't do because I thought there would be time.
There is never as much time as you think. Not for me. Not for you. Not for anyone. So here is the inventory. Sell the big house. It's a container, not a home. Sell the need to rescue your kids. Let them walk on their own legs. Sell the expensive toys. They're anchors. Sell the second car. Buy the experience. Sell your work identity. You are more than your job. Sell your grudges. They are poison. Sell your fear of opinion. The audience isn't watching. Sell your need to control.
Trust the people you love. Sell your perfectionism. Messy is beautiful. Sell your someday. It is a lie. That is 10 things. 10 things that are costing you more than money. 10 things that are making your life smaller when it should be getting bigger. You know what Gloria said to me near the end? She was 95. She was frail, fading like a watercolor painting left in the sun, but her eyes were still that fierce, beautiful brown. She grabbed my hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong.
Desperate, and she said, "Sal, promise me something. Promise me you won't stop laughing." And I promised her. I promised her that I would keep laughing, keep living, keep choosing joy. Not because life is easy. It isn't. It is hard and brutal and unfair sometimes. But because bitterness is a waste of whatever time I have left. That is the real thing to sell, when you think about it. Sell your bitterness. It is not worth the storage fees. Go call someone you love. Go say the thing you have been meaning to say. Go book the trip. Make the call. Ask for forgiveness. Give forgiveness. And do it now, not someday. Now. Because I am 106, and I am telling you, someday is the biggest lie we tell ourselves. Don't wait. Now go. Go live your life. I'll see you next time, if I'm still here. And if I'm not, well, you know what to do. Laugh. And sell the damn shoes.